Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sound of Hope News. I'm your host, Wei Fang.
And I'm Kathy Zhang. How are you?
Yeah, good to see you after 2 days. And welcome to our program from San Francisco, California.
Right.
Yeah, we got a lot of news for you. And first, we need to let you know that the highlight of today, what happened on the Capitol Hill. And basically, the impeachment against President Trump is entered the second day. And so what happened? And then what's the, the flow out? And what's the reaction from different people? And that's one thing. The other things has to do with, Biden actually said he's going to take a strong position against the CCP. In the meantime, his administration quietly withdrew an order by former President Trump on banning the U.S. colleges in, partnering with the CCP's Confucius Institute. If you don't know what is that, well, we'll let you know that it's quite a thing, okay, that's been working in our country, in the college, on our campus for 17 years. And then 14 state attorneys general took on Biden on his Keystone XL pipeline ban. And then, so what's their point of view and why they raised that? And believe it or not, the Senate, the Democrat-controlled Senate, wants to take on the big tech. And what for? Okay. All right. So enough news for you today. So let's just move into our first, the first thing of the day, impeachment trial. Actually, the highlight today and tomorrow would be 16 hours of Senate's, the presentation, of the evidence. First by the House managers, and then later it would be by the defense attorney of former President Trump. So today actually is not a lot of things except that, there are a lot of videos, not a lot of other things. So there was, quite a few videos played, and which including Mike Pence was holed up just off the Senate floor, and how the Capitol Police escort evacuated Nancy Pelosi from the Capitol building, and then a certain a officer, how he saved Mitt Romney's life, and so on and so forth. Okay, just a lot of such videos, and then so how to review those videos? The video in Chinese. Saying we have this expression, right? Like if you hear it may not be real. It has to. If you see it, it must be real.
Yeah. Well, one picture is
worth a thousand words.
Yeah.
Right. So actually, there's a lot of story behind the video thing, and now we want to report to you that how to view those video accurately. Kathy, you want to go ahead?
Okay. Yeah. So today, it's a long debate today, and I don't know how many of you would be able to watch the whole thing, but I watched some of them. And the one thing I wanted to let our viewers know that why we do a live broadcasting on this channel is because not necessarily that we agree with the impeachment. I just think we feel that some people would like to know what's going on, and also you probably wanted to know.
You mean earlier in the day, right?
Earlier in the day,
yeah,
yes.
Many of our viewers don't like that, right? So you just give thumbs down, and as you watch it, we understand that, okay? But we still choose to play it because as we got a lot of thumb down, that would YouTube would just view this channel a little negatively. Actually, we don't mind. I don't mean to tell you that not to do what you feel like, okay? We just want you to know that the reason why we live cast that, for you to see during the impeachment, because some of you just want to know what is going on there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, after we explain to you, you maybe, better understand why you wanted to know, what are, especially the both sides are arguing about, how they present the evidence. So today, I think one couple of takeaways. One takeaway is interesting, I think, is the House impeachment managers, they present their cases, right? And one very one thing outstood to me is that they are claiming that the incitement by the President Trump was not from one speech. And they're claiming this Capitol riot was not caused by one speech by President Trump. But that's actually contradictory with their article of impeachment, because in their article of impeachment, remember, it was stating that President Trump's speech on January 6th that caused this riot.
Yeah, so let me make it clear. That's just a single item that the impeachment managers, they are seeking, okay, inciting insurrection, okay? They are basically looking for conviction to that crime. And then the main charge is the January 6th speech President Trump made at the Ellipse Park.
Ellipse
Park. That specifically inside the mobs at the Capitol. So, Kathy.
Yeah. So, for example, Representative Joaquin Castro from Texas, he's one of the managers. He spoke today arguing that the riot came after weeks of President Trump's criticism of the 2020 election. He just presented quite a few video clips of President Trump's former speeches. And then another House Representative, Eric Swalwell, in the news pretty much often recently, from California, he also argued. He was saying this was not one speech, not one tweet. It was dozens and in rapid succession with specific details. So, at least two of those managers arguing that it's not just one speech, which is just totally different from the article of impeachment. And let alone when they passed this article of impeachment, there wasn't any evidence presented. So today they presented evidences, but it's different.
Okay, so those actually, to average people, you may think, okay, they are trying to strengthening the charge, the case. But to any legal observers, they could shake their heads, right? So basically, that undermines the very charge they put in the article of the impeachment. Okay, they say something, when it comes to trial, they switch to something else. So if those two managers, what they said is right, okay, and it means that Trump's criticism of the 2020 election would be an impeachable crime. Would that work? A lot of us criticize the election, and should we be brought to the court for trial? And that's pretty obvious for any legal observers. They say, what is going on here? Actually, that would significantly weaken the case.
Yeah. So, and also what they present, actually what I'm going to show you is what they actually presented yesterday. The video clip, a lot of the media reports are talking about how of a strong case the House of the Democrat side presented, right? They showed like a 13 minutes video segment, right? So but let's take a look at the major one, like one of the clips, Z1.
That was yesterday?
Oh, C1, yes, from yesterday.
Okay, yeah, on the Tuesdays.
Today I will lay out just some of the evidence proving that we won this election, and we won it by a landslide. This was not a close election. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down to the Capitol. Let's take the Capitol. Take the Capitol. Take the Capitol.
Okay, so this is exactly from this 13-minute video clips. So if you don't really know about what went on, after you see this, right? Trump said, "Let's march to the Capitol," and then following that, there was the crowds and then the violence, right?
Yeah, the ruckus and the violent movement of people.
Yeah. So what kind of judgment you're gonna have, right? But what they didn't show was President Trump's,
Complete
speech.
sentence.
Yeah, in the complete sentence. Watch that. That's
Everyone
what.
here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Yeah. So they
The cut off the peacefully and the patriotically. They just cut off there and concatenate and follow that up with the violent and the raucous movement of people.
Yeah, so that's how it goes, right? One picture or one video scene can just worth 1,000 words. But when you clip things together, edit things together carefully, it delivers probably a different message.
Let me add two stories to you. Okay, since we were from China and we are Chinese journalists, let me tell you two stories that happened in China. Okay, back in on the June 4th, June 4th, 1989. All right. So as we Americans, we all know that the tank of the PLA, People's Liberation Army, moved in.
Yeah. So you are mentioning the Tiananmen massacre.
Yeah, in
right?
China, in Beijing. Okay, Tiananmen Square. The tanks move in and just forced them in, and our army was shooting people and killed so many people, and then they just took this Tiananmen Square back forcefully, and nobody knows how many people died that night. Some people say several hundred. Some people say at least a few thousand. Anyway, what I want to tell you is that how did the Chinese people receive it that during that time? All over China, this video was playing there. The story is like this: those students and those protesters, they are actually very peaceful because they were there for over 1 month. They're very peaceful. They set up the barricade, and they maintain order, just like how you saw in Hong Kong. Everything's just so peaceful. They even, they donate, and the citizens donate money and then supply food and so forth and so on. Anyway, but the official video shows that it is those students and the peaceful protesters attack soldiers, the military people there. They not only attack them, they beat them to death. They poured gasoline on the bodies of the soldiers and burn them alive. There's a video there, burn them alive. Okay, and then the charcoal body was laying there, and then they burned the tank. The whole tank was burned, and because of that, the army have to react and just suppress the riot. It was the riot that attacked the PLA soldiers. And then there's this, great heroes of the soldiers sacrificed their life to maintain, to protect this capital. And that's the story. And 95 to 98% of people might estimate they took it in. The reason why? Because there's no second video. Everybody, they got to see that, and they just make things, they edit a story that is so convincing that you watch it, you thought it's your eyes, it is the fact, your eyes won't cheat you. And then along the way, you just took in everything they said. This is one story. If this story is not dramatic enough, let me tell you the second one. This is in the on the January 26th, I believe, or 25th or 26th of 2001. Again, in the capital of Beijing, right? In Beijing, on this same Tiananmen Square, 5 people. Those 5 people, they are they were. The government said they were meditation exercise Falun Gong's practitioners. Okay, they were there and then suddenly set up a fire on their own and then burned themselves to death. And then along them, their kids. Okay, the video camera came in and shoot everything. Then this video was very, very well put together, narrate a whole story. These 5 people, they're crazy people. They're evil cult. Okay, so they just want to go to heaven by through believing that they can burn themselves, they can go to heaven. Not only they did that to themselves, they did that for their kids. They bring a young girl and they burn her there. And that video simply outraged the entire nation. And this meditation exercise called Falun Gong have three-word principle that I think I explained that to you before: truth, compassion, and tolerance. Nobody have any odds with them. Only the government has. Nobody has any issue with them. But after watching that video nationwide, because there's no second video around who tell the same story, The whole nation was outraged. They are indeed evil cult. We cannot let them just, harm people's life, harm kids' life. We need to ban them. The whole nation literally stand on the side of the government. That started a 20-year, brutal persecution that lasts through today. Okay, then what really happened is this. The video was, was captured, of course, by some American companies in Los Angeles. They analyzed the entire video, and then out of that, they capture, at least 20 loopholes. First, all this burning happened just in the matter of 1 to 2 minutes. They got at least 2 cameras, long shot and close shot. They can record the entire whole thing. And then, as the police and the firemen was putting out the fire, in that was just one instant, not an instant, one instant,
split second.
Split second, and the staggering person on fire was hit. His head was hit. He just fell. Whole thing happened just so quickly. It's over. But if you're a professional video person, you could slow it down. You show that when this lady was surrounded by all police and firemen, how can someone hit her, and so that she fell, and without being stopped? All right. There's many other things. It's a ridiculous story. It's called self-immolation in Tiananmen Square. Now it becomes the biggest scandal of the CCP. Again, but at that time it was really effective because video is so powerful. And unfortunately, we don't want to see this, right? Because we are journalists. When we do editing, we use video to tell story. We have to go by stick to the journalism. Otherwise, we're mocking our own profession. Okay, we'll destroy our name. Well, gradually, I think people are, more and more, including my fellow, I won't even call them professional, my media peers. They're using videos to tell own story. They can completely edit the crime out of it. And then that's why we call today's title is called the crime out of the edit. And indeed, you believe your eyes, right? They believe your eyes, so they do it that way.
Yeah, because as just a common person, they are not in this area. Even if you're a newspaper reporter, you probably won't realize that. But if you have some experience, you can see that that's that's like intentional selective editing. Okay, selective editing with intention, and they wanted to just they elude elude you to make a judgment. Okay, you feel that it's your own judgment, but they already have a intention behind it. Another thing I think already have some audience already pointed out. Congressman Eric Swalwell from San Francisco, from California, right? He has an ongoing scandal involving his relationship with a Chinese spy, Fang or Christine Fang. But he still sits on the House Intel Committee and receives the most top intel information. And now he also acts as an impeachment manager. So think about that. So South Carolina Congressman Ralph Norman told Fox, he said, it's absurd Eric Swalwell is an impeachment manager.
And my Chinese viewers was making comment there. I just want to, just relay this to you. And he was saying that, why isn't this guy impeached? Of course, we know that the congressman cannot be impeached; they can only be expelled. Mm-hmm. In other words, why shouldn't this guy be expelled? And he's sitting there impeach President Trump. He should be impeached himself, and why nobody's chasing after him? So that's sort of the question that people naturally have, right? And this guy sell out our national secrecy, and then he's there and impeach President Trump, and with the edited video. So what is happening here in this country? So that's the question. Okay, my viewers were asking. So I don't know how you think about that.
Yeah. And nonetheless, yesterday's argument seems to be, some people really feel that the Democratic side really did a good job. So at least Louisiana's Republican Party, Republican congressman. Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, he certainly feels that way. So he voted along with the Democrats and other 5 Republicans who are expected to vote this way.
Yeah,
So
this is yesterday. The vote is about whether the trial is constitutional, and then he voted along with Democrats and 5 other Republicans.
yeah, so why Senator Cassidy did that? He said, he feels that the House manager had a much stronger constitutional argument, and the president's legal team did not. So, that's, his judgment. And now, next, I think maybe we should also show you what the president's legal team, they also showed a video, and we show you a little clip of that.
Who I may well be voting to impeach. Donald Trump has already done a number of things which legitimately raise the question of impeachment.
I don't respect this president, and I will fight every day until he is impeached.
Take a note at the dates.
Proceedings. Those are grounds to start impeachment. Those are grounds to start impeachment proceedings. Yes, I think that's grounds to start impeachment proceedings.
I rise today, Mr. Speaker, to call for the impeachment of the President of the United States of America.
I continue to say, impeach him! Impeach 45! Impeach 45!
So we're calling upon the House to begin impeachment hearings immediately.
On the impeachment, Donald Trump, would you vote yes or no?
I would vote yes. I would vote to impeach.
Because we're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the mother.
But the fact is, I introduced articles of impeachment in July of 2017.
If we don't impeach this president, he will get reelected.
My oath requires me to be for impeachment, have an impeachment hearings, and he's the scarlet eye on his chest.
Representatives should begin impeachment proceedings against this president.
It is time to bring impeachment charges against him. Bring impeachment charges.
My personal view is that he richly deserves impeachment.
I'm here at an impeachment rally, and we are ready to impeach them!
Okay, so
in the last 4 years, there were 9 resolutions passed in the House to impeach President Trump. Yeah, of course, there's 2 of them got through and got to Senate, got to Senate. That's what happened early last year, and now.
Yeah, so I think the lawyer just tried to show, many of the senators already have predetermined, they have the bias. And, through the past 3-4 years, they wanted to impeach President Trump. So that's one of his arguments. Yeah, so how do you feel?
Yeah, so yesterday, coming back to Senator Bill Cassidy, yes, actually yesterday, I don't know whether you watched it. Yesterday, President Trump's defense team did it seems, a terrible job. So they switched order, and then the first speaker was saying that just all kinds of mishmash thing, and saying that, I'm just honored to be here, and you guys are great people, things like that. And the impeachment managers did it fine. It's a well done job, things like that. Anyway, so Bill Cassidy actually, in front of the camera of the media, he said they did everything they should, and the Trump's defense did not. So that's why I vote along, the Democrat, not the original word, That's the meaning. That's his choice, Because yesterday the defense seems to be not, seems to be really lackluster. And however, there's some backfire. Louisiana's Republican Party expressed profound disappointment with their senator. And right away, they issued a statement. They said this: "We feel that an impeachment trial of a private citizen is not only an unconstitutional act, but also an attack on the very foundation of American democracy, which will have far-reaching and unforeseen consequences for our republic." Well, they also saluted the other senator of their state, John Kennedy. He said, "We salute him for remaining steadfast in his opposition to the fake impeachment trial now underway in Washington, D.C." And then, and Kennedy made clearly, make his indicate his intention not to vote for the conviction again. And then in the meantime, actually another senator, altogether there are 6 senators, right, who just renegade from their party and vote with the other side. Ben Sass, right? He's from Nebraska. He's also facing a growing threat of censure by his party and in his home state for his criticism of the former President Trump. And the local Republican Party, this is actually last month, okay? In the Sarpy County, Nebraska's most populous Republican majority county, along with 2 other counties, they issue a joint, joint resolution to condemn SAS. So, yeah, and along with that, let me just bring you to another poll that recently. This is the poll for the day before. And this is done by the Hill-Harris X. Again, every time I report to you poll, I have to remind you that the poll are not trustworthy because they've proven to be not honest for 2 times, 2016 and 2020. They are dishonest, people, and their numbers should not be trusted. But they could be looked at, in reference, all right? And let me just report it to you. And they interviewed about, it was 600 people. They said among the people they polled, they said 64% of registered Republican voters in this January 28 to 29 survey said they would join a new political party led by the former president. And then and not just that, 28% of independent and 15% of the Democrat said they would likely join a third party and led by Trump if Trump were to create one. So that's very interesting, right? And the CEO and the chief poster of this company, Harris X, and he told the Hill TV, he said, polling suggests Trump would create the second largest political party in this country, knocking the Republican down to the 3rd place. Just right away. I think basically, Republicans really facing in the hot seat right now. I think that's also, the purpose of this impeachment. Even though they have no chance, they may have no chance to win, but that could divide the Republicans so much, or to hurt Republican to the point of, people just ditch them. So it's a big drama. Okay, so since last November 3rd, drama unfolds every single day. And this is just, I think, very interesting phenomenon or things to observe and follow as the impeachment trial unfolds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so very quickly, just give you an update. The House Republicans, they actually today released a detailed breakdown of 47 Democrat-held districts that they intended to target in the 2022 midterm election. So among the 47 targeted Democrats districts, there are 29 battleground areas. So yeah, it was done by the National Republican Congressional Committee.
Yeah, basically 2 pieces of good news for Republican. One is during the last election, 2020, right, 3 months ago, Democrats lost a total of 11 House seats. And House Republican incumbent lost no seats. Okay, everybody won, and then they also won 11 from the Democratic Party. And then the second thing is generally in the midterm, which is 2022, the party that controls the presidency typically loses about 25 seats in the midterm election, as we observed. That's what happened in 2018. That's how Republicans lost their majority in the House. So if the same pattern would repeat, because midterm are historically check on the party in power. Okay, if people are not happy, they're gonna voice out at the midterm, and then typically the ruling party would lose the House. And in this case, the Democrat only have is leading only by 11 seats. So basically, the Republican can win 5 and just flip it. And then, so the NRCC chairman, Tom Emmer, he said this. He said, we are a few weeks into the Biden administration, and then we see the job killing initiative and that House Democrats support. And then we need to hold the House Democrats accountable for their socialist agenda and ensure voters understand the damaging impact policy like defunding the police, government-run healthcare and ending the Keystone XL pipeline, what kind of impact that would have on the Americans' daily life?
Yeah, so I think people will be watching out, what kind of a policy the Republicans, the Democrats will be working on, and so to make their decision probably. So, okay.
How about this? We just move on to the Keystone pipeline since we're here. Yeah, so basically what happened is this. Okay, 14 Republican attorney generals. Okay, basically most of them along the pipeline area, like Montana and South Dakota and Nebraska and Kansas and so on. So 14 attorney generals urging President Joe Biden to reconsider his decision to cancel a permit for the construction of the Keystone XL crude oil pipeline. All right, the reason is a severe economic harm. And then if he doesn't do it, they threaten to take legal action and take the Biden administration to the court. So actually the State Department in the 2014, okay, this is the Obama state administration, they determined that the pipeline, if construction would support a total of 42,000 jobs and created roughly 3,900 direct jobs in Montana, South Dakota, Nebraska, and Kansas over 1 to 2 years, all right? And then the construction would contribute roughly $3.4 billion to the U.S. gross domestic product, and then the GDP. And generate just by tax, okay, it would generate roughly $56 million just to the state government in Montana, South Dakota, and Nebraska. So they really were hurt a lot. And they also in their letter, they told Joe Biden that a lot of jobs are lost, and especially a lot of union jobs. All right, so that's that.
Okay, all right. So next, the Senate actually is targeting the big tech. So what's about that?
Yeah, and what's the reason?
So the Senate, we now know, it's kind of under control of Democrats, right? If adding the Vice President Kamala Harris's vote. So they put out a bill named the Competition and Antitrust Law Enforcement Reform Act. And they are targeting the big tech's exclusionary conduct, adding even more enforcement against the practice than provided by the Section 2 of the Sherman Act. So what's this exclusionary conduct? It refers to business activities that creates or maintains monopoly power by disadvantaging and harming competitors. So basically, and those big techs have been regularly accused of doing that. For example, Oracle has accused Google of such behavior in a long-running legal battle that is now before the Supreme Court. And Google, Apple, and Facebook have also been accused of engineering inclusive deal-making, another anti-competitive practice that would be targeted by this bill. So this bill basically is trying to, prevent those big techs doing such a thing to suppress their competitors. Although this bill won't do anything to address the problem of the big techs' political interference and the censorship.
Yeah, mainly they will target it about the competition, right?
Right.
As you said. So one example is the Google versus Oracle. And you already mentioned that. Okay.
Right.
The other is the Google versus Google and the Facebook, right? And the final one is about the Apple. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's interesting to see, why they do that, but maybe we can analyze that later. So let's move on to U.S. and China.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, President Joe Biden actually today at the Pentagon, there's a briefing room. He said this: "Today I was briefed by a new DoD China task force that Secretary Austin is the new Secretary of Defense, is standing up to look at our strategy and operational concepts, technology and force posture, and so much more." All right. And then he said that the task force will work quickly so that we can charge a strong path forward on China-related matters. and it requires a whole of government effort of bipartisan cooperation in Congress and strong alliances and a partnership. All right, and Joe Biden said that's how we will meet the China challenge and ensure the American people win the competition of the future. And basically, yeah, and this task force will be led by the DOD's top officials in China. His name is called Dr. Ali Ratner. He's a special assistant to the Secretary of the Defense. And, him aside, there will be up to 15 dozen civilians. Wow, that's a lot. That's 180 people. Okay, and military officials from across the department, including policy officials and members of the joint staff. And then basically together they support a whole of government approach towards China. Wow, that sounds really great. Sounds really great. Okay, until I reach the next piece of news, which at least throw a quite a bit of confusion at me. So. Have you ever heard about Confucius Institute? And Confucius Institute actually is set up by the Chinese, foreign foreign affair ministry, and along with some other ministry. Okay, and then they are like a Chinese so-called Chinese cultural school or classroom that they partner with the college and even K-12 schools all over the world. Mainly the Western world. Okay, this sounds like a pretty innocuous, educational institution. But let me tell you first this. Okay, the Confucius Institute has nothing to do with Confucius. All right, so what do they teach? They never teach any Confucianism. The Confucius system theory is really the philosophy of China, right? Emphasize a lot of good moral and good virtue and so on, and none of them would be taught by this Confucius Institute. The institute mainly teach one thing: Chinese character,
language.
Yeah, language.
Yeah, and they claim they also teach Chinese culture, support local Chinese teaching internationally, and facilitate culture exchange. But like we said, there's nothing to do with Confucius. And interestingly enough, when we grow up, what we know when we were in China, what we were taught was that Confucius was bad, right? Was really, really bad. It's like our enemy. He was listed with another top CCP. He used to be the leader of the Chinese military. So like both of them has to go down with. So, we didn't know that until we came out to the United States, and all of a sudden there was a Chinese, like a Confucius Institute to promoting Chinese culture and language.
The reason is the CCP came to realize that, how much, the West, or say many Westerners love Chinese culture. Okay, so they know, okay, you guys love that. Let me use that as our brand, and then push their agenda. So this Confucius Institute, whoever teach there have to sign the promise not to and to align with not to hurt the national security, national interest of China. This teaching language.
Yeah, and they also once you have this institute within the university of schools, then you have limits on what kind of topics you could talk about, or what kind of events you can host. For example, if this topic relates to Tiananmen massacre, as we talked about, or Xinjiang Uyghurs, or Tibet's, or Taiwan relationship, you cannot do that. Or Falun Gong, of course, right? So anything the Chinese Communist government doesn't like, you cannot be taught in the Confucius institutes. So that actually gradually raised a lot of concerns from some of the schools, some of the officials, and it actually triggered a lot of some investigation. So actually, as of January 2019, according to U.S. government accountability offices in the United States, there are over 100 Confucius Institute are in the universities of the United States, and 500 K-12 schools partner with them. But and then a year, as of this year, January this year, they cut off like 55 of them closed. Okay, but still we have 55.
63, you mean?
63 it's plus the other, like 7 of them are at K to 12 public school districts, but there are actually in K to 12 there are 500 more which they have called the Confucius classroom. Okay,
smaller scale, smaller version.
Yeah, so actually it comes to the point that none of those previous administrations done anything. Actually, they were kind of allowing them to expand, but
proliferate, proliferate.
Yeah, you saw the maps, right?
And they come in, they bring money. Okay, they said, you want to learn Chinese, and you don't have money, you don't have a budget. It's okay. We got teachers, we got system, we got teacher textbook, and we got the money for you.
Yeah.
So it's
for
just
example,
like, why don't you take it? It's just for free, everything. Just we're gonna pay for it. So that's how they infiltrated many campuses.
Yeah, for example, Stanford University, right at the corner, where we are, they got over at least $1 million from Confucius Institute.
Ended up, there's no free lunch, okay? Just like former Secretary of the State, Pompeo, he said, Confucius Institute, he said, is an entity controlled by the PRC that advances Beijing's global propaganda and malign influence campaign on the U.S. campuses and the K-12 classrooms. Remember, K-12, right? They really have no way to understand, to tell what is right, what is wrong, what is false, what is true. They are in this Confucius Institute classroom. They teach, they listen, they just ingest those things that they want them to believe. They sell their version of the so-called China, which is the CCP China. So those American kids grew up, they got their version in their brain, and that's what they believe in for all their life, or maybe half of their life at least. So that will create a lot of problems. That's how patient the CCP is. That's how patient communists are.
They are for the long run. So actually, why we explain this in detail to you, because many of you would like to know like how to identify, some of people or organizations surrounding, or government officials surrounding you are close to CCP. So this is actually one of the tools that the CCP use, which is disguised very well. Think about it. Actually, in the United States, we show you the map. Among the 50 states, only six states don't have Confucius Institute. Okay.
Yeah.
So
and now it comes to today's news, right? So let's back roll a little bit. At the end of the last day of the last year, 2020, Trump administration ordered the Department of Homeland Security, to require the student exchange and student and exchange visitor program certified schools to disclose any agreement they have with Confucius Institute and classroom. So then what happened today is, let's take a look at F1, F1, this is on the on the government website of this, I think this place is called Office of Intelligence and Regulated Service, regulative review. As you can see, this item is this Trump's order, right? They're gonna establish requirement for such program, any school to disclose agreement with Confucius Institute and classroom. And the status as of today, it is withdrawn.
Yeah.
So that really create outcry among many people, especially the GOP legislatures.
Yeah.
And Mark Rubio said the FBI already issued a warning, and the CCP is using Confucius system to infiltrate the U.S. campus. And Kevin McCarthy, which is the Republican minority leader in the House, and he said CCPs enabled this pandemic to spread all over the world for 1 year. And Biden did not ask for them, ask them to hold the blame, but give them an award and allow their propaganda to infiltrate into our college campus. And Rick Crawford, who's from Arkansas, state of Arkansas, he's a House representative. He tweeted today. He said, "Why the Biden administration allow an organization directly related to the CCP to be active in our in American educational institutions. CCP is never America's friend, and just ignoring this would only cause more damage.
Yeah, but you know what? Actually, there are how the White House respond to that. Actually, one spokesperson from the White House today and rebut this type of claim, saying no, it's not right. It's not true. Okay, they said they claimed that the Trump administration in the first place did not submit this order to Federal Register. They have their own explanation, right? So I don't, basically they are saying, no, we didn't withdraw that.
Actually, yeah, what it said is as they take over the power, right? Because this rule by President Trump did not run through, hasn't finished evaluation. So somewhere in between. So he said when we took over, we just automatically everything got withdraw. They said everything got withdraw.
Yeah, and supposedly, but you can resubmit, right? So, well, that's an explanation. But let's take a look what happened also today. Actually, the Democrats on the House Education and the Labor Committee blocked a budget amendment from New York Republican House Representative Elise Stefanik that would have barred federal fundings from the United School, for American schools that partner with China's Confucius Institute. Okay, so if you put these two things together, if the White House saying, okay, we didn't do that, it's just didn't finish.
Temporary adjustment of
or just frozen there, something like that. But the Democrats on the House committee, they actively blocked a amendment relates to that. Have some relationship with that, right?
Yeah.
Because the amendment tried to bar the federal funding to those schools who partner with the Confucius Institute. So what else about that? So actually, I just want to show you one probably comments from historian Professor Alicia Kempe, which I interviewed her before. So just about because like President Biden, as we just reported to you, said we're going to stay strong against CCP, right? But there are also different policies. How to understand that? Let's watch.
We have the question of rhetoric versus policy. They are hardliners from the point of view that they're the ones who brought in the rhetoric of human rights and prominently brought that as an issue. Now, what did they do about it compared to the Trump administration? You can see they are not a hardliner. Then this is the question of people who have harsh rhetoric, but then they don't have any policy change. Trump was harsh rhetoric and tremendous policy change, and sometimes with certain countries and certain leaders, not so harsh rhetoric, but policy change.
Yeah. So that's, for you to consider her opinion.
Yeah. So I have two back-to-back, news. One about Biden on China. One is the strong talking, another is a withdrawal. So I hope the withdrawal indeed is temporary, it's tentative, and it's going to be, they're going to re-enable the order by President Trump, and we'll see. We'll have to watch what they do, right?
Yeah.
Whether they walk the talk.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to appreciate Emily Chang for your donation support.
Wow.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you very much.
If we go back to, in the first place we talk about, we aired the impeachment trial. So actually we were told by our technical support that if you have dislikes, we know you're expressing your feeling, right? But it would somehow hurt this channel, right?
Yeah, but that's okay.
But it's okay. Yeah. But if
just express, however, but just understand what the reason we are here is to bring you the factual news. We want you to be informed, good news or bad news. We want you to be informed.
Right.
The rest is okay. Yeah, no, I think, yeah, we will relay some concern of our staff. That's not important, okay? Just follow with your heart and appreciate that. So
yeah, I mean, you can give more comments on
Yeah.
that, you know, and
yeah,
so
write some more comment as you dislike. And so that would help this how to say, this program, this channel to gain more score with the YouTube. Unfortunately, we have to rely upon them. So out of the 271 people, we got the 269 likes. That's, again, just stunning. It's just unbelievable. Thank you so very much for your support. And yeah. So,
okay, so that's it for today.
yeah, that's all for today. 7 minutes later, we're going to have another show, another Chinese show. We'll bring your feedback, you know, to them, and we'll bring their feedback to you too. And thank you. Have a good night.
Okay,
Until
we'll see you
Friday.
Friday.
Actually, tomorrow is the Chinese New Year Eve. Okay, and the Friday would be the Chinese New Year Day.
Yeah, maybe we can bring you
yeah, we'll
some
bring you something
information.
special.
Yeah.
On Friday.
All right.
Thank you. We
Take
love
care.
you. Take
Thank
care.
you. You guys
Good
are
night.
great.
Until Friday.